Welcome to another segment in which we talk about health improvement areas, things that we know are happening in healthcare that needs to change, or things that are just not happening that needs to happen. I am Suzanne Robinson Davis, and I am with Health Improvement Visionaries. So today we are talking about a very interesting topic, right? I have grown in this area over the years, but I've also spoken to a number of health administrators who have raised this as a pain point, and that is getting leadership to buy in to your ideas, your projects, your vision. And so I have 4 points that I want to cover today. Of course, this is not all inclusive. The video is only for a few minutes, but it's definitely a start to a good conversation about leadership buy-in and how to get it. So the first point that I have, if I can adjust my board and my camera a little bit, I hope you don't see all the mess on my desk. Okay, so the first point is build strong relationships with leadership. And whether you're in healthcare or you're in corporate, you're in a nonprofit, it doesn't matter where you are. I feel like these four areas are just universal. Even in our relationships, with your friends, your families, your children, your communities. I think these are very, very important. So build strong relationships with leadership. And I have here understand priorities and pain points. And I think one of the things that I realized early on is that for you to communicate with leaders, you need to understand their issues. Not only are you having challenges with your programs, your departments, the responsibilities that you have, but leadership, they have even more challenges, right? So they are struggling themselves, and so it's important that there is some level of empathy across the relations, right? So understanding their issues, their priorities, and also really coming alongside them in supporting those priorities and pain points. And that will require some investment of your time. I recall very fondly sitting in one of my boss's office, and I think she has been so instrumental in my growth as a leader in healthcare. Sometimes I went to her office just to decompress, just to share some of my frustrations, and I spoke about that later on too. But just to share. And I think that is important. We are all humans. We are not robots. We are relational beings. And so it's important for you to develop that relationship where you can go invest time, understand some of the challenges that they're having. And then as time progresses, or where the conversation allows, you can also express some of your challenges, and the discussion can even go into maybe how addressing your issues can address their issues. The possibilities are endless when we start building strong relationships. And the second point that I have here is build trust through your track record. A number of times I think we believe that our good ideas is the key to unlocking that door of potential for funding from your agency. Like, just expressing your needs opens those door, right? And it doesn't open those door all the time. So we have to make sure that we are showcasing our wins in a tangible way, that we are showing the outcomes of our work and how those outcomes are benefiting the organization. No leader or executive want to know that they're just investing and injecting capital and resources into you and your programs and your department and your staff without knowing that there is a very strong possibility of a return on their investment. So it's important that you are showcasing that at all times, the wins that you are having. And I want to say that you should also showcase your failures too. And hopefully, your failures are not too big, or your wins have been so many or just huge that when you do have a loss, which is inevitable that we fail at something. Again, this is we are humans, right? So we will fail at some things, that you are able to communicate, that you are able to show them that, you know, this is what we planned, but this is what happened, but this is what I have learned, and this is how I'm going to change it next time. And show them in that practical way, because all of them, all of us, we all fails. Leaders fails, executives fails, lead program leaders fail, all of us fail. So it's important that you also showcase how you take those losses and plan for them to become successes in the future. I think, just also them seeing how you are thinking through your failures, how you're thinking through your successes to be even bigger, are those are part of what will build leadership buy-in over time. So it's very, very important that you showcase both your wins and your losses. Number three, I have align proposals with organizational goals. So where you have big plans, I recall maybe 2 years ago, I wanted to expand my department. And again, because I had invested so many hours sitting in my CEO's office and understanding her heart for the organization, for the team, for the staff across all departments, I know inherently what makes her tick, what makes the executive team tick, what makes the board tick, right? Because you have invested time. And so when I was fleshing out my proposal, I had all the questions, those challenging questions that would come at me. So I was able to think through those and address them in the proposal, making sure that my vision was clear, my objectives were clear, my budget, my framework, everything was just laid out. My funding proposal was clear, to the point where I don't even know if there was any questions that I didn't anticipate. And so it should be for you, right? You have invested your time, you have built your strong relationships, you have showed trust through your wins, and you have showed the process that you go through even during losses. You are now able now to, at the point of creating a proposal, maybe you need an additional staff member, or you just need additional staff, maybe you need more budget, maybe you need a bigger space, maybe you want to go to a conference, whatever it is, you have invested in their relationship, and so you understand some of the questions they're going to ask. You can able to build that out, and of course use language and data, various metrics to ensure that you are capturing everything that present information to them in a meaningful way, and in which it can resonate with them as leaders in the organization. And then lastly, I have communicate. And there is no communication is not a standalone activity. It's embedded and ingrained in everything that we do. So all the 3 points before, communication is one of those underlying factors. But I wanted to extract it as a separate point, because sometimes we believe we are communicating when we are not. We believe that they understand when you have not explained. You believe that they will jump at your idea even though your plans are not fully laid out. There are so many questions still to be answered. And so it's important that we are utilizing different ways of communicating, that we are also getting advice from them. And that is very important too, because sometimes we believe that we know everything. We are, the knowledge keepers. We have gone to school and we have this degree, we have our masters, and for some of us we have our doctorate or PhDs, some of us are MDs. We think we know it all, and so we don't solicit advice from executives before we create these big proposals. And then when we are shut down, we have so many negative things to say about our leaders because we didn't get what we want. It's important to remember that we don't know everything. No one of us is endued with all knowledge and wisdom. These executives, they have been in the positions, whether in that organization or other organizations, for a number of years. They have seen and experienced things that you may not be exposed to. So make sure that you're getting advice in the incubation stage of your vision, whatever your proposal is. Make sure you're speaking to them, getting their advice. Maybe you are able to now tweak some aspects of your proposal. Make sure that you're open to what they're saying, even if they don't know that it's a proposal that you are seeking to create. Make sure that you are open. I sometimes want to say vulnerable, and I mean being vulnerable doesn't mean that you split open yourselves and you show them everything that's inside. That's not what I'm talking about when I mean vulnerable. But there are different levels of vulnerability, and I mean, I haven't studied that, but I'm sure. But just based on my relationships, there are just levels of vulnerability, and you should show some level of vulnerability in every relationship. And so if you're building a relationship with your leadership team because you want to also get buy-in as a result of understanding what they're doing, it's important to show some level of vulnerability. One of the things, I don't know if my boss at my last agency before she retired, I mean, a wonderful lady, I won't call her name, maybe I'll talk to her one of these days and ask her if I can start shouting out her name. But I knew her so well that I knew that if I started a topic and based on her expression, on her mood and so forth, that it's not going to sell. Like, I mean, maybe there was just a major setback, and the executive team, they're huddling and they are so focused on addressing their pain points that the issue that I'm gonna bring is just not gonna take traction. There's just nothing there to hold it, because the space for understanding is just so limited because of what is going on. There is a crisis. We have to know when to pitch our ideas and when not to. And sometimes that means we have to delay our timelines. We have to make sure that we read the room. That's something I'm teaching my son. I'm like, you're not reading the room. This is not the time for that discussion. And so it's part of the relationships, right? So building leadership buy-in You have to invest your time, understand your leaders, your executives, whoever they are, so that when you are going to pitch an idea, you understand that this is the right time for it. And I believe that if you are practicing these and many other steps, but these four steps: build strong relationships with your leaders, build trust through your track record, align proposals with organizational goals and priorities, and communicate, that you will succeed in some of your initiatives that require leadership buy-in. I would love to hear some of the buy-in support that you have gotten, and maybe some of the frustrations that you have around leadership just not fully endorsing or fully committing to the areas that you're working in, and maybe we can work out something together. I would love that. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. Christmas is around the corner. It's the time for smiles and happiness. Have a cheerful heart. I'm hoping that your Christmas is going to be a fantastic one, whether it is a low key Christmas or it is just hectic and busy and, gift exchanging and so forth. But we'll talk about that in another video. Take good care.